Hello, it's Sunday, October 12th, 2025, and it's been a while. I was camping in Onaway State Park in Michigan, not too far from the bridge, maybe an hour from the bridge, and having a good time this week. Enjoying the weather, although it was cold. It got down in the 30s a couple of nights. I'm going to once again be reading from the United Church of Christ Daily Devotional, taking a Christian text and reading it from the point of view of how does this impact our daily lives. And any text from any faith tradition can be used in that way. It doesn't need specifically to be quote-unquote religious in nature, but a point at which we can question and take a look again at our living and how we live in the world and how we present ourselves in the world. And the devotion I'll be reading today is entitled Boiling, written by Rachel Hackenberg. And Rachel bases her devotion upon an abridged version of Jeremiah 29, verses 4 through 7, from the New Revised Standard Version. Thus says the Lord of hosts to all the exiles, build houses and live in them, plant gardens and eat what they produce, take spouses and have children, multiply there, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. And then Rachel writes, perhaps the most disconcerting quality about dysfunctional despotism is its normalcy. The ego, the obsession, the absolutism that drives power-hungry authority is so commonplace it's practically mundane. It's predictably trite. It's reliably thin-skinned. It demands and declares and dictates, broadcasting self-importance to counter its unexceptionality. It's also conventional. It's so conventional that it's also, I'm sorry to say, relatable. I've tripped over my own ego, shouted just to be noticed, obsessed over the unimportant, hoarded what power I had, stoked the fire of insulted pride, believed I could wield authority better than another if only they knew. So I'm aware, when I rage and rant over authoritarian leadership, that I'm getting cooked in the same pot I believe myself to be stirring. When Jeremiah told the exiles that God wanted them to live well in Babylon, it wasn't an instruction to adopt the dis-ease of the Babylonian Empire. God wasn't telling them to acclimate to the boiling pot into which they'd be thrown. God was reminding the people that they weren't soup ingredients, regardless of the pot of their circumstances. They were not celery and onions to be boiled down to taste like empire. They were not mirepoix for the empire's richness. They were milk and honey, the taste of God's abundance and freedom. They were daily manna in the city, reminders of holy nourishment to a world gorging itself on power and wealth. They were blessings for the welfare of the community. And then Rachel's prayer. Most holy God, do not let me be reduced, not within myself, not within the world, to a morsel in the soup that feeds unjust power and wealth. Let me not be hungry for the meal that seeks to consume me. Lots went through my mind as I was reading this, and one of the most important things, I think, is that sometimes in our zeal to overcome that which we abhor, we become that which we abhor. And I think that's what we have to be careful of. I also think that the other important thing I took out of this was that in the midst of dysfunction and power, arrogance, all that's going on in the world today, that the important thing is to not turn into that, not become part of that, not feed into that, but rather to stoke the power of love and compassion and care and empathy in the world. That no matter how hard you are pushed to not submit to that kind of character, but rather simply just continue to show what it means to care for one another, to care for the world, to care for yourself, and to care for one another. Continue to promote the good in the world and the good in yourself, the good in others, the good in our community, that comes out of being in community with others. But continue to work towards that. Yes, we need to highlight and emphasize and continue to bring to light the evil that is occurring in our midst, but not be consumed and not be degraded down into becoming that evil, but rather promoting good and community and strength and love and compassion and empathy in the world. That's really, if you will, where we might find the divine, might find God in a relationship with one another, and engendering positive relationships and continuing to do good with what you have, where you are, when you can, in all circumstances. Because it is just too easy to be drawn into somebody else's shit and become like them in trying to oppose them, and that won't get us anywhere. And I think it was also an important reminder for the upcoming protests that are coming on the 18th. There's a lot of people claiming that it's horrible people and it's terrorists and whatnot. And there are going to be people out there who will be trying to pull people who are protesting into that mire and to become what they're claiming we are. And we have to resist it with all force and power and love. I'm thinking of a couple different situations. One in the Tiananmen Square, when the lone person stood in front of the tank and kept getting in their way so they couldn't advance. And the others of protesters during the Vietnam War, putting flowers in the end of rifles of the National Guard being brought out to, quote unquote, protect the people. Just continuing to spread love and compassion and care. I'm also thinking of Portland and the people dressing up in funny costumes outside the ICE detention center, the horror of it all, using compassion and love and laughter to overcome the evil of empire. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hope they've given you something to think about today, and hope to talk to you again soon.